Hey Lorimer, good to see you.
Dave, good to see you.
5 years since, or almost 5 years since Explain Pain came out.
It's amazing, isn't
Well,
it?
it's been quite a trip.
5 years. It hasn't.
Yes, how's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing, hasn't it? It's turned out to be a lot bigger than I'd anticipated. I think.
It's been a lot bigger. When I wrote it, I had no idea where this would go, and it's gone to all parts of the world in numerous languages. What are your experiences?
Oh, look, I just went through it again just this morning for the first time in some time, and
Yeah.
I'm reading it and thinking, this is good. This
I
is
know.
good. I'm proud of it, but I think the things that strike me about it are the response out there, and I guess from the perspective of a scientist, which is technically what I am, I guess, I've been really rapt with how well it's been received in the medical and scientific community, which we were a bit nervous about. Yeah.
Well, we were.
Yeah.
We were nervous about putting such complex biology in such simple and occasionally humorous and irreverent language.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What's the highlight?
Well, the highlight I think is when our secretary gets a call from somebody. It could be a doctor, it could be a receptionist, it could be a patient who just says, thanks. That made a lot of sense, and that's been one of the most rewarding things for us. Mind you, it hasn't worked for everybody.
No.
My brother, for example, has a sore neck out on the farm. I said, read Explain Pain. He rang me up and said, I read it 3 times, Dave. Don't believe it.
That is because he's your brother.
Well, I guess so.
I refuse to show it to my brothers.
Yeah. It's the old story, don't treat family.
No, that's right. Don't give family your books.
Yeah. And Lauren, what about the research world? What do you feel is happening there in this area of Explain Pain?
Yeah, I think, I guess our objective was not really to create this treatment tool, was it? It was like a resource for clinicians and for patients. But what I'm seeing now, I review manuscripts, journal articles for journals. And I've seen, a good half a dozen experiments now come through the journal where people have actually taken the book and said, what happens when you give this book to patients
To a certain group
with pain and with other painful disorders? And I guess that's the thing that's exciting. You can now see a ripple effect out across the community of researchers and clinicians, and the body of evidence is growing, and that's really nice.
Great.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think, and I didn't realise this 5-6 years ago when we were writing it, the big shift in health systems, in government health thinking towards more self-management. And of course, education's a critical part of self-management. So I like to feel the Explain Pain movement, if you want to call it, fits in very nicely with societal shifts.
Yeah. I know. I live in the UK now, as you know, and it's been really nice seeing the expert patient program grab hold of this sort of thing and say, this is the messages of books like this.
Yeah.
What about this though, Dave? I've had this from a couple of colleagues, for whom I have a great deal of respect. That they haven't actually read the book, but they've said, education doesn't work. Education to behaviour change is like spaghetti to a brick. Yeah. And how do you respond to that? I mean, what is your response to that?
I think the response for me is what kind of education, and as you know, I'm nearly completing a doctorate in education strategies around chronic pain, and there's an enormous number of variables that could impact on the outcome, and just like any technique or any treatment, there's quite a skill to it. There's a skill to this as well too, and a lot of the skill is recognising the variables that might be impacting prior to an education meeting or during it, or even the variables that might contribute to maintaining any improvement after.
Well, I wish I had you there when I had this conversation. My response was, it's not the key is how you deliver it. I suppose it's a simple thing.
One little, part of it.
But it's an atypical textbook in that sense, isn't it? It's how many textbooks have those sort of drawings and things?
Yeah. Talk about the drawings. I'd like to tell you what I think and what you've heard are the drawings or the bits that people really enjoy or have helped them. What have you found?
I had a key experience quite early on, actually, very soon after we did this, that one patient who was sort of, I was talking to him and he was pretty blank-faced.
Yeah.
And then we got onto this orchestra in the brain playing the pain tune picture. I think this is the one,
that one
the
there,
orchestra in the brain, but
that
there's the one
orchestra in the brain there. Yeah.
There was one playing the pain tune, and
oh yes, when everybody's sick and vomiting, and
we opened that up, and he looks at it, and he became overwhelmed, and so did I. And for him, that was the picture that spoke to him and really got him engaged. And from then on, we were talking the same language, and that was a beautiful experience. And what about you?
Well, I think the mountain metaphors or the Twin Peaks model have been really, really helpful for people to see. You know, I know it's been a bit of a mantra in pain management for some time. This hurt does not equal harm, or as I like to say, you might be sore but you're safe. And to have a model that shows them where they can climb a mountain or sit on a seat or drive a tractor has been particularly helpful.
But on that, I agree, it's been a mantra. Hurt doesn't equal harm. But the thing that, I mean, as you know, and half the motivation for this book, I guess, for us was patients hear that, but it makes absolutely no sense unless you understand why hurt doesn't equal harm.
Exactly.
And that's been a beautiful thing, hasn't it? To see patients go,
so that's why.
Is,
and then to be able to take that not just in the clinic, but to be able to go out in society, have pain, and be able to then think, okay, why am I hurting now?
Yeah.
And to realise too that it might not just be some inputs coming in from a bit of extra strain or groaning on tissues, but it could be the context, the thoughts or the beliefs or the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, which are constructing the pain experience. So it's teaching them how to learn and using biology as the narrative.
5 years down the track.
Yes.
What would you do differently in this now, if anything?
I wouldn't do a lot differently. I think we'd write things a bit differently, perhaps. Yeah. There's a bit of wording there.
We'd have a few more references to back up some of the
I think
things
we'd
that
probably have 3 or 4 times the key references. We may have the availability in 5 years to show more graphically some of the biological processes that occur in the brain and in the rest of the body.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, look, one thing that I've heard several times is the question, but what about after surgery? What about after spinal surgery? And so I think I'd now stick in at least, even if it's just a statement to say spinal surgery is just like an injury.
Yeah,
it's just performed by people who are supposed to be fixing you or something. Yeah. And I guess a lot of my research since we did this has been doing complex regional pain syndrome, phantom limb pain, spinal cord injury related pain. I think we could probably have stuck a little bit more about that in there, but we didn't know much about that.
No.
In fact, no one did, really.
No,
let's face it.
5 years ago.
We've learned a lot in the last 5 years.
So there's some precious information to come out if you ever get around to doing another issue, another edition.
Oh, it'd be fun though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Another edition.
It is fun.
One of the most interesting experiences for me was working at Oxford University and having the book open with some of Sunyata's very intriguing and sometimes
Queen walked in?
questions. Well, the local Don,
the
physiology, walked past and was quite snotty-faced initially, but he asked to buy a copy, David.
Oh, beautiful. Did you give it to him? Or?
I gave it to him free. I hope that's okay.
No problems,
I said, dear Prof, it's a pleasure.
Good on you.
Any disasters? You have mentioned Explain Pain.
Oh, yeah, Explain Pain. I've got to mention this because there has been a few cases, and let me say, probably more than a few. I think I might hear this maybe once a month. Somebody, often very sensitive, has read the book and said, reading the book hurt me. I got more pain or sweating after.
Yeah, right.
But it's very interesting because if that person's in the hand of a skilled therapist, they should be able to realise that, hang on, let's go back and use that.
Yeah, because that's cool.
Because what the book is to some people it's a threat, and the threat, pain is one way of defending from threat.
Yep.
Increased pain, increased sweating. Yeah, beautiful.
Marvellous. Terrific.